Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very, very accomplished individual from the US, currently in India, Gita Vemparala. Gita, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh. So happy to be here.
Thank you. Gita is a divorce and transition coach. She's a divorce coach for women. She's a life coach, a relationship coach. And as a divorce coach, she collaborates with a lot of attorneys. So Gita, before we get into the work that you do, tell me what made you leave a lucrative corporate career in sustainability and start off on your own?
Well, after I left my sustainability or my environmental work, I did a couple of other stints in the corporate world. I was not ready to leave it yet. Mm-hmm. So I worked at another large Fortune. I left one Fortune 500 company and then jumped into another one, worked there for a few years, and then finally another 7 years at an insurance company.
Okay.
For a very long time, I wanted to be a social worker. This was since my teen years. And I was inspired by a movie that I watched at that time. Mm-hmm. But life had different plans for me.
Okay.
As most of the time it does. Mm-hmm. I graduated from college. I got married while still in college. And then I followed my husband to the US in 1990. Okay. And there right away, I began my master's education. Mm-hmm. Then during the course of time, I volunteered at a number of different nonprofits, for many years to quench my thirst for serving the community, for giving back. And all this I did while taking care of my family, which was growing. When my children were old enough, we volunteered together, especially my daughter and I. Then there are a number of things. I know this is kind of a long-winded answer, but please bear with me. There are a number of things that led to this decision to leave the corporate world.
Okay.
I have been through divorce, not once, but 2 times. Mm-hmm. And I have experienced difficult marriages and nasty divorces.
Understand.
So I've been through, in the last few years, I've had nagging pull to do more on the volunteering or the helping side, helping others. Mm. So I wanted to help women who are experiencing or who have experienced what I have experienced, similar challenges. And women who are in different phases too, like who are struggling in their marriages currently, or who are in the midst of divorce, they've decided to leave, or post-divorce too. This challenges, every stage has its own challenges.
Correct.
So for a while, I've been thinking about how I can spend more time doing this while supporting my children and me. Financially, I need to support myself. So I didn't know how to go about this, full time. So I worked with a coach who helped me figure out that life coaching is one way to approach this passion and desire to help.
Correct.
So I got trained and certified as a life coach. So putting together the wisdom that I have gained through my experiences and also the knowledge gained through training, I said, okay, I'm going to start my journey to help other women. And I have been helping women get through their relationship challenges in their marriages and post-divorce too.
Okay.
I've been helping a number of them. Something else that prompted me leaving the corporate world, sometimes you need a push, is spirituality. I consider myself a fledgling spiritual practitioner. I consciously started dipping my toes into the waters of spirituality just a few years ago.
Okay.
So the awareness enhanced by my spiritual practices gave me the push that I needed to take this step.
Okay.
And also, thanks to COVID, you know, COVID has been a real negative thing, but there are some positives that came out of it if you wish to see those positives.
Very interesting.
So it hastened my decision to come to India. I had not seen my parents in a year and a half. So I said, I want to go back to India, and back in the sense visit and spend some time with my parents.
Okay.
So shortly after I came here, I decided to quit my job and go full time, you know, start out on my own so I can make a bigger difference.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you talk of divorce, and thank you for sharing that you draw a lot about from your own experience. What are some of the common challenges that women face when they are confronted with a difficult situation?
You mean common challenges in terms of
settling a divorce?
Yes. Why would they want to get divorced? Right? So there's many. Sorry. When a woman or a man, for that matter, enters a marriage, they are looking for happiness. Okay, happily ever after.
Correct.
You know, they are not thinking of divorce. So when trouble starts in the marriage, trouble has started, but there is confusion. What should I do? So one challenge, a big challenge they go through prior to getting the divorce is that confusion. What do I do? Do I stay in the marriage or do I leave? And then, and one of the biggest reasons is, first, you don't start out a marriage thinking divorce, but the other reason is children. You know, you have children. How am I going to bring these children up on my own?
Correct.
Can I maintain a healthy environment for these children? How will it affect their lives? That's another reason.
Sure.
And then they have no money, finances. So these are all challenges or questions that the women face who have already made the decision or who are getting ready to make that decision to divorce. So finances, and I do want to emphasize that it is not just women who are homemakers that face this challenge. It is those who are also financially, you know, they are independent. Supposedly, they have a full-time job, they're bringing in the money, but they have given up their financial control to their spouses. So what happens is that works fine most of the time, but when this situation arises where the divorce, you know, the talk of divorce comes up, the marriage is not working, then the women are stuck with having no money in their control. So the person who holds the financial control has the power there. So that is another big challenge. And of course, you know, the reasons for the divorce could be emotional abuse, financial abuse, and there's so many, you know, there's gaslighting, putting the person down constantly. So these are all reasons that women, maybe men,
and based on your experience, Gita, at what stage does an individual take a call and say enough is enough?
Yes, it could be different reasons. It could take many years for one to make that decision, going back and forth. No, this is not right. There comes a point when you have completely lost yourself. And that's what happened to me. I was walking on eggshells all the time, and I'm not being myself. Even to speak reasonably, you know, I wouldn't feel like I had a voice to say anything without, you know, things hitting the fan. So when you can't bear it anymore, then you feel, okay, I am ready to take this. I'm ready to take it on no matter what, but it takes a lot to get to that point.
I can imagine. I can imagine. So when an individual is going through this challenge and reaches out to you as a divorce coach, how do you step in and what support do you give?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it takes a lot before someone decides to come to me. They have already been through a lot. So then they want to see how can a coach help? And divorce coaching is fairly new. Divorce attorneys have been there for a long time, but divorce coaching is fairly new. So of course I explain to them how I can help, and doesn't matter, in my view, every case I have seen, every individual that has come to me for help, they've been in a challenging situation, extremely challenging situation. So there are so many issues to deal with. One is, and the most important thing that I stress, is emotional well-being. Because you are not in a good place when you have arrived at that decision. Doesn't mean the decision is wrong, but you are absolutely not in a good place. So my main focus is the client's emotional well-being. So where I can intervene is, okay, you need to first take care of yourself. So basic, even the meditation and going out in nature, all the things I tell them, they know. I'm not telling my clients anything they don't know, but I am here to hold their hand, to walk them through the process. So emotional well-being is the big thing that I help them with. And it doesn't matter whether this is post-divorce or you are still going through the process. So even post-divorce, you have issues like co-parenting. So if you have children, how do you manage that? Your spouse and you may not be on the same page, or even if you are, everybody involved is adjusting to this new routine of child visitation and all that. And so that is where I help through conversations, and I help them with their communication. How do you communicate? Because this is where the problems arise, in the communication.
Okay. So another question that I have for you, Gita, is that, and I know many people, highly qualified young men and women get married young, move out of India, and then both have their own sets of aspirations. And given the fact that the cultural systems, with almost no family support outside India, the pressure always comes on one or the other partner. And that is when some kind of mismatch of expectations starts.
Right.
I'd love to get your perspective on why this seems to happen so often.
Oh, yeah, that why is $1 billion question, Tosh. So I can speak, you're asking me from an Indian moving abroad perspective.
Absolutely. From an Indian perspective. Yeah.
I will answer from that perspective, but these challenges exist everywhere.
I'm sure.
So I have spoken to individuals there in US, in Europe, Africa, all over the world. I see this as a grassroots issue. I may not have mentioned to you, but there is this intervention and prevention, right, of issues. So where I am coming in now is the intervention, but there is a big prevention aspect that we don't talk about enough. So it goes back to the grassroots, how you are raised, how these young men and women are brought up, what is the environment in their home. Correct. So I will speak from a woman's perspective. Men are taught a certain way. This is what women are supposed to do and or be. So they grow up with that thought process, and then they when they get married, let's say they go abroad or they stay here. Because even in India, couples in India, there's so many couples who are actually working. Both of them are working jobs and, taking care of their families. So that is one reason I see, where it's the environment in which you grew up, and are you able to accept this new this new woman who wants to be independent, also who wants to go out and both financial independence and be who she wants to be.
Correct.
So I think its acceptance of that is one of the biggest challenges. And if you approach marriage from a perspective of what can I do for you? What can I do for you? That kind of, from that place, I feel marriages will be so much happier, where at one time, it's possible, okay, the husband will need to do more, and the wife needs to step back to take care of the family. At another time, the wife will need to do more outside. So the husband, it's a balance. There is really no magic answer or a silver bullet to this.
I agree.
I think it's developing that understanding between each other.
So when, based on your own experiences with your own life and with so many of your clients, should there be a checklist that, premarital checklist, so to speak, that you, say that these are some of the things that I need to take care of to ensure that I don't come up with any surprises? And I think in a lot of countries, the prenup agreement seems to be one such thing. But in India, I don't think Indians believe in that so far.
Correct. Because, and I'll tell you how the prenup does help abroad. But this checklist, it's funny you asked me that question, because I have been in conversation. I've been having conversations with young people about what they think, and these are young girls, very young women who are not married yet. They're still in college. What do they want to do? How do you have these conversations with the parents? How do we prevent these conflicts after you get married? See, one thing we have to remember is we all change throughout our life. The person I married will not be the same person 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. So I can't say, oh, you said this or we agreed to this, Yeah, that helps to some extent, but really, you both need to evolve, so both continue to be on the same page. But one of the young women did suggest maybe we should have a checklist before we get married. I think that will help to some extent, where, okay, I want to work so many hours. I think both need to have that agreement, right? So it has to come from both sides. Each should be allowed to do what they want within the boundaries of their marriage. But having a checklist might help. Okay, I did agree to that. So it will help you. It will help the conversation at that time. It does not guarantee anything.
Absolutely.
Right? So we all have the prerogative to change our minds at different times. But continue to have those conversations. So with respect to prenups, abroad, it helps. Those who have prenups generally are those individuals who come into the marriage with a lot of assets, a lot of wealth. So you want to protect your wealth, so you have your prenup generally. Or if they want to go beyond that, okay, if they are seeing a potential divorce, we don't know. We cannot predict any of that, right? At the time you get married, you cannot predict that I'll be divorced 10 years from now.
Right.
But there is a potential for that to happen. So if they see that, they put all that in paper. A good prenup will have everything. Okay, if we split our home, this is how it's going to be. It will just ease the conflict a little bit. That's how I feel prenups help. I've not done one, but I have spoken to people where prenups have.
I understand.
Yeah.
My next question to you, Gita, is what is the role a strong family plays in supporting, a challenge when both individuals are determined to separate?
A family plays a significant role. And they should know that, yeah, there are many families, many people who go through divorce without support of families, but it takes a huge toll on the individuals going through it. But a family plays a very significant role, and starting with the parents. So when their children, whether it's a son or daughter, decides to go through the divorce, of course, you will try to compromise, you'll try to make the two parties talk, you'll try all those things. But once that decision is made, you be there for them. You may not know how to support them, but be there for them and tell them, I'm here, I know this is painful. This includes parents and even other extended family. I don't know exactly what you're going through, but I know it is painful, but I am here. If and when you need me, I am here. The other way I believe families should support their children going through this very challenging event in life is make no judgments, and you will always, I don't know if you're aware, but there's this peanut gallery. There's all these people on the sidelines waiting to make comments and pass their judgments on people. Oh, he divorced frivolously, or she took that divorce for very frivolous reasons. We don't know. Correct. It's only the two people who are in the marriage, behind those doors, they know why this is not working.
Well said.
So the way family can help is provide that space, provide that unconditional support. If there's children involved, give those children as much love. If there's grandchildren, I mean, give them as much love as possible. So you're helping your children also shield them from the negative effects of divorce.
Very interesting. So, Geeta, I have time for two more questions for you. When I was preparing to have my conversation with you, I was reading, and I read earlier on what are some of the top 10 stress creators for human beings. And, there are several stress creators, number one and number three being, the passing away of a spouse or passing away of a child. But the number two one that I found based on what's called the Holmes and Ra stress scale is a divorce.
Yes.
So when someone is going through such a divorce, how does one tackle all the stress?
In my experience, the way I tackled is through support of my family and a few good friends.
Okay.
So it helps, and I totally agree that divorce is next to death. The trauma that is caused by divorce.
Correct.
And the trauma, not just the event where you sign the papers, but prior to that, this individual or the individuals have been going through this stress could be for a very long time. So they are already so stressed out. So again, help, the family support is very important. I know we talked about it in the previous question, but family support is very important, and friends, even if it's 2 or 3 good friends, because a lot of friends in divorce, it has been by personal experience, friends walk away. And of course, at that time, I made all these stories up in my mind. Oh, they are good weather friends and whatnot. But I started thinking about it later. Friends don't know how to support you. That's why they walk away. They get uncomfortable because they have not had the experience. They don't know anybody else who's had the experience.
Correct.
So if you are a friend, if you're a close friend of this individual who's going through the divorce, just be there. Be there without judgment. Allow that space for this individual to talk to you. And there's, of course, I teach my clients other things. If they don't have family, or if they have minimum family support or friend support, you have to bring that strength from within yourself. So I teach my clients how to do that, through meditation, connecting with nature and all those things. But family support
is very critical.
Plays a significant role.
Fantastic. So Gita, we've now run out of time. So on that note, I really do want to say thank you so much. Thank you for sharing with me some of your deepest experiences, your own personal experiences. Thank you for talking to me about the challenges a couple would go through, how important families are in supporting the stress that happens in a marriage. And thank you for everything that you are doing for so many people. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Ashutosh, and thank you for the opportunity, for providing your platform, for me to speak, to reach out. I hope I'll be able to reach out to as many individuals who need help as possible. I do have some parting words for your audiences.
So,
I want to say divorce is hard, whether you're a woman or whether you're a man. And if you're going through divorce, you start from a place of compassion for yourself and for your spouse. Don't get blinded by the feelings of revenge, anger. You will need to process these feelings over time, and you will when you start your healing journey. And I'm not implying that one should be submissive, nor take the role of a victim here. But when you start from a place of compassion, you will take the necessary action in a conscious and deliberate manner. And the decisions you make will be, you will serve yourself better and your children better in the long term if you take this from a place of compassion. And I also want your audience, the folks who are going through this challenge, to think about this. Think about what you want to create in the world. What do you want to create for your children? And use these as guideposts to take action as you go through this big, major transition. And remember, transitions are always uncomfortable, and because you're venturing into the unknown.
Very wise words indeed. And I'm sure all our viewers and listeners will listen to what your advice is. And if they have to, they can contact you on LinkedIn and reach out to you, of course.
Thank you, Ashutosh.
Thank you again.
So much. Very nice chatting with you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.